So to start, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into cooking.
Let's see. Well, first off, I want to say thank you guys for having me here. I love seeing all the strong, powerful women out here. It's like a big girl group here at Google. So how did I start off with cooking? I've been cooking since I was a kid. Yeah, I think I was maybe 5 or 6 and helping out my mom. Both my parents are engineers, and they're just like working all the time, and someone had to put food on the table. So by the age of like 12, I was doing that. And then went to college, got my undergrad in cognitive science at UC Irvine. But I like wanted to cook like my whole life since I was young. And finally, made my way to culinary school in New York. And then I've been in San Francisco since cooking. Yeah.
Awesome. What made you like take that step into cooking from leaving from what you studied?
I think just because that's what I had known I'd wanted to do my whole life, but I felt a little suppressed by my family. Like I grew up in a really traditional household. I'm sure many people can feel that or relate to that with having parents that kind of expect you to be something else, and they're like, are you sure you want to be a chef? Like that's just like a lot of work, and you're sweating all day, and you're in a kitchen, like long hours. You're working every holiday, every weekend. But I loved it that much, and I was like, you know what? Like this is what I want to do with my life, and I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of did schooling to please my family, but eventually kind of went off and did my own thing.
So as you welcomed all the women engineers here. Yeah.
And the men.
And the men, yes. So you faced a lot of struggles coming with the traditional family and all that, and there's not a giant percentage of women culinary, master chefs and all that, and also part of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
What challenges? What other challenges did you have going through that, and what challenges do you see for others?
When I started out in the industry, I'd say like 15 years ago, and at the time, there really weren't many female chefs in the media. Mm-hmm. There weren't many in kitchens. I was one of the only girls for a very long time, mm-hmm. and it's tough. They treat you different, and but for me, I just kind of stuck with it. I'm like, this is what I love, and it's not about my gender or any personal parts of who I am. At the end of the day, it's just how dedicated you are and how passionate you are about what you're doing. So I just kind of stayed focused and ended up working for Dominique Crenn, which was the first female chef that I worked for, and that was an amazing experience to be able to have someone that was getting recognized in the industry at that time, and to be able to train with her. So there was a sort of this role model, like, wow, she's doing it, I could do this. And I think times are changing, now you just see there is more women representation in the culinary world. But again, I think we just have to have a voice, and we have to continue to do speaking panels and things like this, and join together and be visible. Yeah, and that goes for all parts of me. I'm a woman of color, I'm a female, I'm part of the LGBTQ community. I have all these sort of minority categories that I'm representing, and I'm a chef, but I think it gives me, kind of puts me on this sort of level where I can, represent those categories and be proud of that.
That's great.
I ramble.
No. That's a great long answer. I loved it. So then from that, how'd you get onto Top Chef?
Man, I was always like, I'm never going to apply for one of these shows. I don't want to do competition television. I just want to cook. And many, many years I was against it. And I had friends and family that are like, you need to apply, just try. And so I think one of my friends filled out an application and they like put it on my desk. They're like, "You're filling this out," and it was like a 30-page application to apply for Top Chef, and I was like, "All right, let's give it a try." But it took me maybe like 2 years to actually like complete it and like have the guts to just submit it. But then I turned it in and I didn't get a call back for like another 2 years. Wow. And I just thought, okay, at least I tried. And I give myself props for that. And then they called a few years later and I had to go through the whole process again. And it's like a 3-month back-to-back interviews and they're flying you to LA and you're interviewing there. And next thing you know, I was like packing up my knives and like heading to Boston. Like within a week, they tell you like, okay, you're on Top Chef. We're flying you out next week. Wow. So it was an incredible experience. But
yeah. Did you just have to drop a lot just to head out there and do it?
You do, yeah. And I think it's one of those things where you have that opportunity, and you know if you're gonna go for it, you gotta. And they say yes, like you can't say no and just back out all of a sudden. So I just was like, all right, let's do it and see where this goes, and I'll just try my best. And yeah. It
worked out really well, yeah. So after that, like what doors did that open, like with that kind of coverage and that?
It's incredible what it can do for if you really just. I think a lot of people, some come off the show and then they just go back to their normal jobs. But if you really, it really does open up a lot of opportunities. Like right now, I'm working with companies like. Humphrey Slocum. You'll get to try the ice cream later. Williams Sonoma, I actually did an event yesterday with Williams Sonoma, and I'm a chef ambassador for Whole Foods Market. So like all these, other companies come and they're like, hey, we want to collaborate with you, and that's I think where my strengths lie and where I want to be able to like work with these companies to create something fun for even like Google, like hey, let's do something cool here and. Make something. So yeah, it definitely changes your life, the whole Top Chef experience, or can change your life if you really take advantage of it.
So when we were talking about this earlier, you did mention that you cooked for some celebrities. And I'm just curious, when you cook for celebrities, do they want you to cook stuff that they saw you cook on Top Chef, or they want you they just tell you to go wild and do whatever you want?
Usually it's just go wild. Yeah, do what you want. Like it all came up because we were in that, what room was that?
Broom closet.
We're in the broom closet. Awesome room. And he said that Al Gore was here and did a talk.
He did something.
Or something. He did something and he was hanging out in that room. And I was like, oh, I've cooked for him before. After Top Chef, he, I guess, had watched the show and was like, hey, I want you to cook for me. And he's a vegan, and so I created, and he let me do whatever I wanted within those vegan parameters, and so I just did like a whole 10-course vegan tasting menu for him and his friends. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Like they usually give you a lot of freedom, but within their dietary restrictions.
So with your Co+Lab that you're doing, which you maybe have to explain to some of us what the Co+Lab does, but does that fit into this freedom that you have as well?
Yeah, well, Co+Lab started like right after Top Chef. I was like, I want to just feed people and I want to do like a cool dinner. And so I came up with Co+Lab where I was collaborating with other chefs in the city and also local artists and artisans within the city and products. So we would like take those products. For instance, we had like Phil's Coffee, we had Bellwether ricotta cheese, and we were just sourcing from different purveyors and like really highlighting those ingredients within each course of the menu. And so I was able to take Co+Lab down to LA, and I did dinner with all the female Top Chef finalists and winners. So we had like Maylin, we had Brooke Williamson, Naisha Arrington, and Shirley Chung. And that was an awesome dinner where we like collaborated and came up with this really fun menu using local like LA products. And part of the proceeds went to La Cocina, which is like a women run organization up in San Francisco. So it was just great. Yeah, it's like it was an opportunity for me to be able to be creative and host dinners in different areas.
Yeah, and you partner with, it seems like you just have friends everywhere, and you'll partner with you'll find a reason to partner with them. Like, I'm doing this, you make tables, come and...
Yeah, I mean, it's just, for me, I had a friend that makes ceramics, and I'm like, hey, do you want to make ceramics for my pop-up dinner? And like, make it specific to that course. So I think it's just about community and like really working together to put on like a really amazing dinner that you walk away just feeling like, wow, there was like so much thought put into every detail. So that's what Co+Lab was about.
How that turned into, being an ambassador at Whole Foods and also creating your own ice cream?
Yeah, the Whole Foods thing came up, and I just kind of formed a relationship with the company, and next thing you know, I was like creating products for their hot bar. And we were thinking like, how can we keep making things interesting within the marketplace? So I was like, hey, like, why don't we make an ice cream? And so we reached out to Humphrey Slocum, which was like one of my favorites, because they come up with just like crazy flavor profiles. And next thing you know, like all three of us just started brainstorming like, how can we make a fun ice cream? So we came up with Hong Kong milk tea ice cream, which was inspired by my childhood and just my cultural background. My family's from Hong Kong, and we drank Hong Kong milk tea all the time. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's a black tea that you brew, really, really strong, and you mix condensed milk in there. And sometimes people put a little evaporated milk or sugar, but it's like kind of creamy, has a lot of like tannins from the tea. And we turned that into an ice cream base with Strauss milk, and then we were like, okay, this needs texture, so we decided to make almond cookies and folded that in. So you'll get to try that in a bit, but it's kind of this play on like tea and shortbread cookies. Yeah.
So you got the inspiration from, growing up with that. Where else do you draw your inspiration from with all these pop-ups and?
I think a lot of it actually comes from my childhood or places I've traveled. I traveled a lot when I was young, and throughout like my 20s, I backpacked like Asia a few times and Europe in between jobs. And, I think just from there, just being able to explore and like taste all these unique flavors from other areas of the world, and I'm like, how can I bring those flavors here into the form of the cooking that I do? And so that's kind of, I guess, where my inspiration comes from. But also like nature is like a big one too. I like to be outdoors, and I think that comes in my plating style. Sometimes when you see some of my dishes, or more of my fine dining dishes, are inspired by sort of nature and gardens and stuff. Try to make it look organic,
And do you try to keep it very localized ideas with the plating and that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm always like, in my backyard foraging, or like always trying to get to know like friends that hunt and fish, because I think it's important to support that. And you find, for me, it's about the quality. Like you could taste the quality of the ingredients when you're getting it straight from the source versus having it travel, miles to get to you. I think for me, I really try to support local as much as possible. And these people are working so hard. A lot of these like small mom and pop businesses, they're working so hard, and like I want to support that, rather than the man sometimes.
With all that you're doing now, how big is your social media presence? Do you have do you have somebody else taking care of that, or how important is it?
I do my own. Yeah. It's more authentic that way, and I like to share what I'm doing at all my, like I was like, I think I was like downstairs, like taking a picture of the Google sign, saying like, I'm here. So I definitely run my own accounts, and I think it's important to just connect to people. But social media does play a very big role these days in your brand and the exposure of that. And when I was hosting my first Co+Lab, I was like, how am I going to sell tickets to this? So I just started blasting it on Instagram, and it works. Yeah, it's really amazing, the power of it.
So how do we find you on Instagram? Do we just search your name?
Yeah, just Chef Melissa King. I think all my handles are at Chef Melissa King or chefmelissaking.com. You can actually email me straightforward. It goes right to me, and I think that's how you guys found me. So if you do enough stalking, you can find me.
Follow you around the city to find your collabs.
Yeah, like show up at my house.
What advice can you give those who are aspiring to be, a chef?
If you've never cooked in a professional kitchen, make sure you do that first before you go to culinary school. A lot of people come out they watch things on TV and they're like, oh, I want to be a chef. Must be fun. And it is. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's so much work, and it's not an easy life. And I think do your research. Make sure you go get an internship at a restaurant and really just get your work there for free if you have to, because that's how my industry works. And dedicate that time to really see if this is something you want to dedicate your life to, because again, you're working every weekend, every holiday. You can't go home and feed your kids. Like it's tough to balance that, having a family and your career. And I'm sure that applies to a lot of industries, just having to balance it all.
Some days you just go into work feeling like it's going to be like a war zone.
It's a war zone every day in a kitchen. I guarantee you that one. Something always goes wrong.
Well, I don't think I have any more questions, actually, but we do have a lot of people here who I know have lots of questions. Let me grab a microphone.
Yeah.
We can open it up to the floor.
Any questions? All right, there.
Hi there. Thanks for coming. What's your
Yeah.
favorite restaurant in San Francisco?
Ooh, that's a hard question. There's a lot that I frequent. I think it depends on what type of food I'm looking for, but I feel like I go to Rintaro a lot. It's like a Japanese izakaya over by Rainbow grocery store in the Mission. That one's great. Just I flew to Japan a lot last year because I was opening a restaurant project called El Cafe out there, and when I go eat at Rintaro, it just reminds me of just really homey Japanese comfort foods. It's like homemade udon and katsu. So nothing too fancy, but they do a great job there. A couple other places. I've been really into RT Rotisserie. Have you guys been there? It's a fun, simple spot, but they just do a really awesome roast chicken with Douglas fir yogurt sauce and kind of different dipping sauces, and they do these umami fries that are amazing. But yeah. RT Rotisserie. It's from the people that did Rich Table, and it's sort of their more fast casual concept. But I think San Francisco, that's kind of what we're moving towards, is what can we eat that's done well, made with good ingredients, and is quick, and that we can sit there and still get a beer or a glass of wine. So you see RT Rotisserie popping up, and places like Suvla, and where it's really quick to just get in and out. Yeah.
More questions? Oh, I'm going to sneak across. Here we go.
I'm curious your thoughts on the sort of upswell of fast casual restaurants. There's a lot of art to fine dining, and I think we certainly see some art in fast casual, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. We definitely see it in San Francisco, and I'd love to hear more from you.
Absolutely. Yeah, a part of me is a little sad that fine dining is dying, because that was where I came from and the kitchens that I've been bred through, and yeah, it is an art, like you said, and I think right now there's times are changing because people want convenience and they want affordability, and but I think there's a way to bridge that and still make that food elevated and delicious and technique driven, without having to cost a lot for the owner and for the customer as well. But yeah, I do think a little part of me is like, ah, sad. Yeah.
He laughs as he hands me the microphone. So my question's actually kind of random. After Top Chef, people obviously started recognizing you and following you on social media. Were you involved with social media before, like as a normal person? And
Yeah. I definitely had Instagram. Yeah.
how did that change for you after when you realized like, oh, weird, now there's all these people who think that they know me and are following me, and now I'm sending a message and I'm representing all these things. Like, did you feel you needed to post different content or curate it more or anything?
Yeah, I definitely think, I had Instagram before and, only had maybe like 100 followers or, just like my friends. And then overnight, it really does change when you go on a TV show. Suddenly you're getting like 100 followers a day and I think from there I started realizing like, oh, what I'm putting out there, people are really taking serious, and I have to either be sure I'm censoring certain things or kind of curate it a little more. So yeah, I think just being aware of what I'm putting out there and the message that's coming across is something that I constantly am like, what do I Instagram today? Like it's like a lot of pressure, but it's become like a full-time job sometimes to like keep up with that.
Yeah, I asked because a couple weeks or months ago, I was involved in a Women in Tech Twitter, like I wrote a tweet and had the hashtag that was part of this Women in Tech movement. And mine became the top tweet of the movement, and which became the top tag on Twitter for an entire weekend. And so I went through this experience where all of a sudden my phone was just a constant notifications. The tweet got over 1 million hits.
Whoa.
Like actually M as in million. And I was like, I am just a software engineer. And then I had this like paralysis every time I went to post something of like, they're expecting something from me now. And I'm just a girl who had a really good crepe and I just wanted to share a picture of it.
But usually I do that. Yeah, usually I'm like, oh, I just ate this amazing meal and I want to share it with the world. But then there's also other messages that I want to, explain to people where, if I'm involved in a pride parade for the LGBT community, I want to share that and continue to spread that voice as much as I can. So yeah, I think there are parts of my brain that are like, okay, is this okay to post? Is it okay to just post like my sandwich that I just had at Google? Like, is anyone gonna care? But yeah, it's fun.
I just wanted to ask, so as a woman, do you feel like that has held you back or that's held you from succeeding in your life? And there was a pivotal moment in the culinary industry, I guess I should be more specific.
I don't think it's held me back, but I have had experiences in kitchens where I was treated different. I was working in a place where one of my chefs he was a very traditional Japanese guy from Japan, and I think the experience was like, oh, are you sure you want to do this with your life? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm just like the other guys. And he's like, well, I mean, cooking, like, you can't have a family. And he was like questioning me, and I was like, well, I don't think that you have to completely sacrifice that. Of course, you can make compromises and accommodations with your partner, but I think he just felt, I don't know, somehow I was treated differently in that scenario for being a woman. Like, he wouldn't have asked the men that question, like, are you sure you want to be a chef? What about your family? So it did feel, I guess we always constantly have come up with, or people will approach us with questions like that. But it's good to think about. But I still think it doesn't matter what your gender is. And if you are good at what you're doing and you're dedicated, then you will succeed, Yeah. So, and a lot of it, again, is just joining together and like continuing to participate in speaking panels or like, continuing to spread that voice for the female community. Yeah.
Do we have any more questions before we have some ice cream? Oh, you got one right here. Yeah, of course you may.
I mean, you're here. I'd love to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
So you're working with Whole Foods, and now you're working with Humphrey Slocum, and that's such a great partnership or tri-ship. I don't know what you would call the three together. What are you next most excited about?
I definitely have a few projects that I've been working on that I can't tell you right now what's going on, but I will be back to tell you more. But hopefully it's something big and exciting that you'll see. But yeah, it's definitely restaurant focused. And also I have so many things on my list that I want to do, and it's like, okay, which one am I going to knock off first? And just focusing towards like, restaurant, check, cookbook, check, those sort of things. So there's definitely a few. But within my current schedule, I have a few events that I'll be participating in. One is called Girl Venture, and it's a organization here in the Mission at the Women's Center, and they support women, the youth community for just to help empower them to, they go rock climbing, they go kayaking, and they do a lot of outdoor activities to help these young girls really, feel supported. And so I'm going to be hosting their gala dinner on September 21st. I think we still have tickets available if anybody wants to come. And I'll be at the Newport Beach Wine and Food Festival at the end of the month. And a couple other top chefers are there, and so that'll be fun. And that one's with Whole Foods Market. So yeah, a lot of fun events lined up. Yeah.
Can I ask one more question? Just occurred to me, we're about to try some delicious ice cream. Can you tell us a little bit more about ice cream development? Like, how many different types did you try? And
this particular ice cream we figured out very quickly, surprisingly. We went through about 4 different batches and met up 4 different times to do taste tests. But I basically, made a batch of tea and was like, this is what it needs to taste like. And from there, I was with the chefs at Humphrey Slocum. His name is Jake, sorry. Jake and Sean are the owners of Humphrey Slocum, and we kind of met up together and we're brainstorming okay, is this too sweet? If it is, maybe we should cut back on the condensed milk. But we tweaked it out really, really quickly, and hopefully you guys enjoy it today. And it's sold exclusively at Whole Foods Market in a little pint. But yeah, hopefully we'll spread down to different regions of Whole Foods. Currently it's only in the Northern California districts.
Thanks for coming.
Hi.
Not to stand between everyone and ice cream. So curious about Top Chef. What were the big things that you learned about your cooking style, about yourself? What did you learn from others there that kind of surprised you?
Yeah. I think for my cooking, it really opened me up. I mean, it opened me up in so many ways. As a person, I was very shy. There's no way I would do something like this. I couldn't even give a wedding speech at my sister's wedding. But I was just very shy, and definitely opened up my confidence in my cooking, in me as a person, and also in just where I wanted to go with the future of my career. And so I think I learned a lot there. It also taught me to just be spontaneous with cooking, and don't be afraid to experiment. And a lot of the show was just improvising, because you literally have 30 minutes to cook something, so you're like, oh no, what am I supposed to make right now? So you're just throwing things in a pot. And everything we made on that show, I would say for every chef, they would probably tell you they've never made it before in real life. It was the first time, every time with those recipes. So definitely learning to improvise was a big thing. And then my mom, they surprised me with my mom on the show, and that was the most incredible feeling. And you're there and it's so serious and stressful, and the whole time you're just in competition mode. And then all of a sudden your mom shows up. So I just like broke down in tears, and it really made me feel like I have these people that support me. And when you're in the competition, you don't feel any of that. You're so just separate. So I came home just realizing like how much I appreciate my family and my friends.
And to add to that question, obviously we only see a sliver of what you've experienced on Top Chef. So are there any misperceptions from being in your shoes, being on the show versus what you actually see on TV?
There's definitely creative editing. It's probably as far as I could say, but I don't know. I've seen every episode, and I felt it was very true to everyone's characters. It might be a little dramatized on certain episodes. But yeah, like imagine, you're filming every day, 16 hours a day, maybe 18, and you're only seeing about 45 minutes of that. So it's all condensed in there. But yeah, they definitely get creative. I was like, wait, did that happen? It's like mixing things around. Yeah, any other questions? Any cooking tips or anything you guys want to know? Yeah, I don't know. Like, ask me something. No, I don't know. Like, I think just experiment more. Like, if there's ingredients out there that you've never seen, go buy it and taste it and try to cook with it. And recipes or guidelines, you don't have to follow every little detail. I think it's okay to veer from that and just, if you don't like a particular ingredient, omit it and try something else that you do like. And there it'll evolve into its own dish that you created. So yeah, cooking should be fun.
So I recently started cooking a lot more. Before, my husband actually did 90% of the cooking. And once I start cooking more, he says he loves me more too. But I use Instant Pot. And I was wondering if you have Instant Pot, and if so, if you have any favorite Instant Pot recipes.
I do not have Instant Pot. My sister does, and she loves it, and she's a mom with twins. And she works at Disney, and so her life is crazy. But yeah, the Instant Pot is basically like a pressure cooker and a slow cooker from my understanding. So she's always doing those Nom Nom Paleo recipes, which are from my friend Michelle. And she actually just came out with a cookbook. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's got great recipes there that are really simple. They are paleo focused, but you can always add your own things to that.
Any favorite like quick weeknight dinner recipes that are not Instant Pot?
Let me see here. Oh, well, my lemongrass meatball recipe. I think you guys are going to try that later. That one is something that I have on the Whole Foods hotbar, and it's a really easy recipe. I have it on my website, chefmelissaking.com. At least I think I have it on my website. Yeah. And it takes about 25 minutes, and you just marinate the meat. And you don't even have to form them into meatballs. You can like make a burger patty with it and just grill it. But it's got fish sauce, garlic, ginger, lemongrass, all these really yummy flavors. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
While I'm walking over here, what are you watching on Netflix right now?
I know. Well, now that Game of Thrones is over, like, which I love. I've been watching Insecure, which I love as well. What else? I don't know. What's out there these days? I feel like after Game of Thrones, there's like nothing else.
This is kind of random. What's your go-to like cooking utensil or like certain pot or pan that's out there? I know some people are like really into cast iron or like.
I was just about to say that. I'm all about everyone should have a cast iron pan. It's like $20, or you can go to a flea market and get it for probably even cheaper. They last forever, and if you're gonna just make a steak at home, it conducts heat way better than any other pan, and so you'll get a really nice like crust on your steak. if you cook with that. But I cook everything in it, you know, like fried eggs and like fried rice and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely get a cast iron. Microplanes are pretty handy as well. It's like a little grater that grates ginger and lemon zest and stuff like that. All right. Cool.
Time for some
Is that
ice
it?
cream?
Yeah, I know. Do you guys want some ice cream? Ready for that? All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so much
for this. This
for
is a lot
joining
of
us.
fun.